Hello and welcome to our webinar today. We're going to be talking about modernizing your marketing with advanced social media strategies. We're going to give everyone just a couple more seconds to hop on, but we are really glad that you are here to join us today. All right, it looks like a few more people hopped on. So again, thank you so much for your time today. We are really excited to go over some strategies that we can share with you for social media. And without further ado, let's get started. First, I want to introduce our presenters today. Today we will be having myself as a presenter. My name is Maria Coleman. I am the Marketing Content Manager at AdTaxi. I've been here for 6 years. I've worked in operations and client services, so my background is a kind of a bunch of different things, which has given me an advantage in kind of understanding the whole process. Ohio State addict, that always gets added on here. I am a huge Ohio State Buckeye fan, went to school there, and I'm also a mom and a wife to 2 human children and 2 boxers, one of which turns 2 today. I also want to introduce Megan. Megan is our Client Services Manager on the West Coast. She has been in marketing for over 10 years in a variety of roles as well, most recently promoted to Client Services Manager, so congratulations, Megan, on that. She loves planning her next vacation, which I think we all do, and she's a fur mom to a schnoodle, which she had to explain, but he sounds like a cute little guy.
Yes, for those of you who don't know what a schnoodle is, it's actually a schnauzer poodle.
Yes, and I need a picture because he sounds adorable. But so Megan is actually, when we were working on this webinar, Megan was a great choice. She has a unique background in that she works with client services. Our client services team is identified, what they do is identify some of our top accounts, and they really work with them on strategy. What's going to be best to make their account more successful, how they're going to get the most return on their investment. She's really digging into the data, so she has a lot of great insider information that she's going to be sharing today. So I wanted to start with kind of our agenda goals today. We'll be doing social updates, obviously. Just kind of what's happening in the space, how it's changed. As we all know, there are changes happening across platforms pretty much daily, which is great and a little tricky to keep up with. That goes across the board, I would say. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, we're seeing things change just faster than we can even get the information out to people. We're going to talk a little bit about social platforms, what their capabilities are. We're not going to dig in too much to the specifics because I feel like most people who are joining this call at least have some familiarity with them. We're happy to answer any questions that we may not cover, but we are just going to kind of do a high-level overview of that. And then we're going to dig into the strategies, and this is really Megan's specialty, just telling you how things work together, how to identify those goals, and how to make them work for your campaign, whatever your goal is, to really plan on the back end to see the most success. And then last, we're going to cover some real stories. We're going to cover some client stories that we have as far as how they saw success, what they changed to make that work, and then just some other ones we've seen out there that were just really cool and inspirational to kind of get you thinking about how to be creative. So social updates. One thing I think it's really important, again, as we talked about the changes of the social trends, you can see just on mobile alone, we are trending almost to 100% usage for social networks on mobile. And that really impacts how you structure your campaign, how you structure your ads. It really has a lot to do with the back end. So it's really important that you know how your users are interacting with your platform and then design your campaigns accordingly. This I just think is really interesting because you can see it's almost all mobile, and something we've also seen is that people are really almost getting away from using desktop, not completely, but a lot of homes no longer have a desktop. They're strictly on mobile. So that's something really important to think about when you're planning out your campaigns. This is also really interesting. It just kind of shows the breakdown of time during the day on each social platform. And again, this all came from eMarketer, so it's a great resource for information when you're trying to figure out what's going on in the space. You can see Facebook still owns the vast majority of time during the day on social networks for users, but it is shrinking a little bit, and the other platforms are gaining more ground. So you could see, especially Snapchat is definitely, it's kind of stayed even, but we're seeing a lot of changes and a lot of updates. So I actually expect this to be a little bit bigger in the next couple of years, just because of some of the cool updates they're rolling out and capabilities that they didn't have even when this came out, and this came out in April. So it's really evolved even since then. So first I want to dig into Facebook, and Megan, feel free to chime in. I know some of this is things that you cover daily. Social changes as far as Facebook. They've removed their third-party targeting. That includes in-market audiences, household incomes. I'm sure we've all kind of seen a lot of the stories coming out about Facebook and why they've changed their targeting as far as, they want it to protect people's privacy. So that does impact how they are able to target and what they're able to do. The other one is dynamic ads for broad audiences. Megan, I'll let you talk about this one a little bit because I know this is one you deal with the most.
Sure, absolutely. So dynamic ads for broad audiences allows you to utilize or leverage Facebook's data and just finding new users that haven't already been engaged in your brand. This particular one also allows you to utilize products within your current catalog feed. So you're showing them particular ad placements that might be relevant to them, but they're just not used to your brand just yet.
Yeah, and that's a great new feature. And then lastly, the cost cap bidding strategy. That is a recent addition, I would say, with definitely within 2019. And it's a way to maximize cost efficiency while driving volume. It helps you get the most results that you're looking for, such as purchases or app installs, whatever you're doing. And it also lets you set a maximum cost per optimization of event. So it really lets you have more control on what's going on as far as your costs and really honing in on that specific goal that you want to focus. Instagram, there's, again, lots of changes have been going on with Instagram. The checkout for Instagram, I think it was April or May that just came out, which is a great new feature where you can, they have pricing right in the advertisements on Instagram. And rather than click on that and then exit the platform to make a purchase, you can actually make the purchase right in Instagram. That is something that is limited right now as far as the rollout is who can utilize that. It's a select list of brands. So based on success, we expect that to expand. You can obviously put pricing in your products right now for your ads on Instagram, and it will allow you to click out and make a purchase. But being able to not leave the platform is really a big win for them. It makes it easier for the user. It keeps them engaged in the platform and keeps them scrolling, which is really great. And recently, branded content ads, that was just a few weeks ago. They actually rolled this where brands who are working with influencers or creators online, if they see something that they like that had been posted by these people, these influencers, that included their brand product because they're working together, then they can actually use that and promote it organically within as an ad. So they're able to kind of utilize a different aspect. So it's a more authentic experience because you're seeing not just like a product kind of formalized ad, you're seeing other people involved and audiences are able to connect a little easier. And Snapchat. And we'll talk about Snapchat a little bit more in detail later, but Snapchat is a new partnership we started in January. So we've really been diving into what they have available and how that works. Snapchat is actually working on their own audience network, which is really exciting because it's something that will really differentiate them from the space. They're developing their own mobile ad platform to expand reach. They're also, it gives you a lot of different opportunities if you are on this ad platform as far as what your video ad format looks like, because they have so many capabilities already on their platform. And lastly, for Snapchat, this is also very recent. They're testing e-commerce incorporated stories, and it's very similar to the Snapchat, or I'm sorry, the Instagram, where you are, they're able to monetize their stories right in the story and actually make purchases from there. Right now, again, it's only a beta rollout, so it's only available for key influencers. I believe there are about 5 right now that they're available to, and then it connects with their respective brands. However, if this goes well, we anticipate this to be rolled out to a wider audience, and it really gives you, again, the ability to stay within the app, to make purchases and to keep people engaged while they're on the platform. So now we're going to, like I said, do a little bit of a high-level overview of social platforms. Megan, I wanted to let you start, so let's get started with Facebook.
Absolutely. So as you can see by the Facebook audience breakdown, Facebook audience maintains the highest amount of monthly active users across each of the platforms. They currently have about 2.27 billion monthly active users, with about 8 billion users, 8 billion average video views. Also, something to keep in mind that the younger audience is consistently maintaining above an 80%. So anybody under the age of 80, under the age of 29, 80% of those users are on Facebook. In addition, 95% of those traffic is coming from mobile devices. Moving to advertising options, there's a variety of ad types across Facebook. There's carousels, video ads, collections, but one thing that carousel ads do is it allows you to leverage an emotional connection to that audience, reaching higher response rates and even maintaining retention. This also allows you to drive more organic content. For video ads, they're quick 15, 30-second videos that allow you to really increase the engagement on multiple products, highlighting your brand, and also telling a story in an emotional way. If you want to go to the next slide, I'll kind of talk about some video fun facts. There's about 100 million hours of videos watched on a daily basis on Facebook. 85% of users watch videos with the sound off, which tells you that you probably want to make sure that your video content is really engaging and telling a story without sound. And of those, 20% of those videos are live broadcasts. And those particular live broadcasts are watched 3 times more than pre-recorded videos. Moving on to Instagram. You'll notice a little bit of a difference here in regards to, well, the obvious, the monthly active users is about half at 1 billion. We have 400 million daily active story users, which tells you that since Stories has launched, people are engaging every single day, multiple times a day. And of the audience breakdown, 72% of them are under the age of 17. With a number 2 coming in at 18 to 29 at 64%. Going into the type of ads for Instagram, you'll notice we've got story ads, photo ads, video ads, and even carousel ads, just like we have for Facebook. Story ads allow you to fully engulf the user's screen. Photo ads allow you to really showcase your product, while video ads allow you to have an emotional connection with that user. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, it's really driving that story to that user. And then lastly, we have carousel ads. Just like with Facebook, it allows you to really highlight your product in multiple images. Maybe showing that shoe with one image isn't going to be enough, but then when you show that 3 or 4 times in a couple of different angles, that might really drive the right focus. What you want to think about is creating content and utilizing these ad types that's going to feature your product in the best way. Some quick tips for Instagram, just in general, that we've seen is really when you're thumbing through Facebook, you're going in a fast pace. You're really, really scrolling through those stories or your feed in a very fast way. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're showcasing your brand or your product within the first 3 seconds. This allows you to have a clear message and hopefully stop that user from thumbing through your ad. Lastly, you want to make sure that your product is highlighted, making sure that within those first 3 seconds, you're really able to tell a story.
Thanks, Megan. I'm going to talk a little bit about Snapchat. So again, like I said, we are certified Snapchat partners. So that is very recent. It is within January when that began. However, we have really dove right in with them as far as what we're doing and capability. So we're all really excited to have that new partnership. So Snapchat audience. You can see this one definitely skews different than the others. With the majority of people on Snapchat are in that 18 to 24 group. And I would say then obviously next would be the 25 to 34. So that's kind of their target audience. However, the 35 plus, and something we've learned, there are a lot of moms on Snapchat. And I think that will skew that 35 plus. And a lot of that has to do with they want to know what their kids are doing. They want to know how this works. I am in one of those moms in that 35 plus group, and I wanted to figure it out myself. So it is really interesting. That may change a little bit. You can see the daily active users, 186 million, which is really huge. There are a lot of people who are engaged daily on that. And then 90% of Snapchatters share their location, which is really great for targeting. That gives you the ability to really get in front of the right people if you are doing that geo targeting. More than chat. So Snapchat, if you haven't been on there, I feel like most people probably have if you're in this industry, but it's really interesting. There's a lot of different things you can do. Connect with friends. The camera antics, I think, are my favorite. Again, I have children, so they think that's really funny to see their face look like a dog, just doing silly things like that. So it is kind of a fun, playful platform. And then you can discover stories. So that's another great way to connect. Best creative practices. So this one is a little different, but again, same kind of overall concept, that 5 seconds or less. Quick message. You don't have a lot of time. People are scrolling, as Megan said. So you want to make sure that whatever you're trying to get across, you do that very quickly. It's very engaging, and people want to stop and find out what's going on. Objective in mind. You just want to be quick with what your product is and make sure it really shines. A singular message, again, people are scrolling quickly, so you don't want a lot of text. You want to make sure that everything is short and concise. And then again, purposeful sound. A lot of people do have sound turned off on their platforms. However, Snapchat is a little different. People are on there to be engaged, to watch videos. So you want to make sure that whatever's going on in the video as far as just the movement and the sound is really concentrated, and you've thought about the purpose. And we're going to move on. Sorry about that. Oh, and then we have just some advertising options. And there are a lot of different options available. It really depends on what your objective is and how you plan to engage with the audience. Story ads, as you can see, it's the creative overlays. Again, people like to take their picture and just see that in action. Then you have the augmented reality. Like I said, people think that's fun, and it's a great way for your brand to be associated with something fun and engaging. The dog one, like I said, is really popular, but I know we've been on there a lot lately. For example, Toy Story just came out last week. There is one where you can look like Woody from Toy Story. And it's a great way. People think it's fun and engaging, and you remember that connection because it's a fun experience. You can also have some within Discover content throughout the stories, and then placement in the Discovery feed. These are just a few options available and ways to really connect. One thing we found, and again, this is really recent, this came out within the last week, is Snapchat is giving you some more options on how to really leverage that audience. They want you to be successful because it also helps them as well, and it's a great way for people to really grow their brand on this platform. So this just came out, like I said, last week. It's called Moments in Focus. And what they did is they broke out the entire year as far as holidays or just things that are engaging that they find people engaged with throughout the year, whether it be college football playoffs. We've got Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, International Women's Day, just where they see a lot of action. And then they break them each down. And you can see on the right-hand side, these are just the two of the two I've chosen. College football, as I said, back to the Ohio State thing, huge deal in our house. So I thought that was really interesting. It tells you how to engage your audience, what the amount of filters are used during that time, the lenses viewed, and then the amount of stories posted. Again, with 4th of July coming up, that was a great one that we can kind of look at. It gives you some great marketing information. They also give you a tip on just an additional way to engage with the audience. And then they give you some associated mentions, again, with 4th of July, obvious things, fireworks, block parties, Netflix, things like that. The great thing about this is it's definitely not limited just to Snapchat. The stats as far as, the filters and lenses is obviously only for their platform. This is a great way to plan your marketing calendar, especially for social. And another thing you want to think about layering in when it comes with associated mentions would be hashtags. This is a great way to really leverage those hashtags, that are popular. Fireworks, block parties, just to get a bigger reach with your audience. You can find this, it's completely free on their website. I've included the link, and it's just a great download to keep around as you're making your plans throughout the year. Twitter. Twitter is one that we absolutely do as well. However, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about it today because Twitter is more of a brand awareness platform rather than engagement. The other ones will really help you focus on keeping people engaged, conversions, things like that. Twitter is actually, as we all know, more for just kind of the awareness piece. So the best ways to use Twitter would be brand awareness, some engagement as far as hashtags. That's a great way to really get your brand out there. It's great for customer service, usually for good customer service. It's also a way to combat some things that you may see are incorrect messages floating around. It's just a great way to have your company really interact with people and show that you are involved. And then again, like I said, leveraging the hashtag, we know that can really expand your reach. You can really tap into a lot of audiences you may not have with just a simple hashtag. So campaign strategies. Again, Megan, I'll kick that back over to you.
All right. So some things that you want to do when you want to execute a successful social media campaign. First off, you want to identify your objectives. You want to understand your target audience. Then you want to refine your creative and your messaging. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you're measuring your results. And the best way to do that is to make sure that you're engaging each level of the funnel. Starting with the top with awareness, you increase your reach and frequency for your brand by profiling users that match that audience. You've identified your target audience, now let's go find them. When you're looking at consideration, you want to make sure that you're driving those users to a destination from a platform that they're going to be located. If they're on Facebook, let's drive them from Facebook. Let's get them to your site. Then lastly, once they've engaged with your site, you want to make sure that you are moving into the bottom of the funnel to drive that purchase, highlighting valuable actions, driving those KPIs, and lastly, driving that purchase by creating ads that are showing products that can drive online sales and then ultimately drive your in-foot traffic. The best way to look at which platform to utilize is to align your goals with your platform. So far, we've covered Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Each one of those has a little bit of a different take. Facebook is great for branding, driving conversions, and also that e-commerce sale. Instagram, same thing. Branding, conversions, and driving that sale. Twitter, on the other hand, is really great at driving branding and those conversions, getting that user to the site. And then right now, it's a limited offer rollout, but it will eventually be driving that e-commerce sale. Maria mentioned that Twitter is really best used for branding purposes because it allows you to really engage with that user. Next up, you want to make sure that you're targeting and you're measuring users that are going to be at the best of your ability. Measuring events that matter, such as product page views, cart abandonment, and then also just engaging with that person on Facebook. Facebook and all of the other platforms allow you to reach that perfect audience. Whether it's creating customized audiences by uploading your email addresses or creating lookalikes off of those particular users, you can create that audience utilizing your social platform. From there, you want to make sure that you're optimizing towards your results. If you're looking to drive that sale, or if you're really looking for just increasing your page likes, you want to make sure that you're optimizing accordingly. I mentioned earlier that there are some capabilities for targeting, such as uploading your email or your email subscribers to your platform. That is exactly what we want to do here, audience match. You can anonymously upload your customer list, and Facebook will then find those users across their platform. From there, you can utilize that first-party data to find lookalikes of those audiences. I love this because you already know that they're your loyal customers. Why don't you find people that are just like them? Maybe they don't know about your brand. Maybe they're a future loyalist. From there, you want to make sure that they're engaged. Engaging those users with those ads through interactive and engaging ad types. And then lastly, retargeting. These are your perfect consumers. They've either purchased from you before, been across your site multiple times, or maybe they've just gone to your homepage and they haven't purchased yet. They've shown some kind of interest, and you want to make sure that you're reminding those users to come back, which is a great segue into personalizing. Personalizing your ad sets allow you to create custom ads and messages that are really perfect for that particular user. Maybe that person has gone to your homepage, but they didn't really go any further. So one thing that you might want to consider doing is creating a branding type ad, reminding them what you're good at and why they should come back and explore more. Next up, maybe they went to the cart page, but then they didn't actually purchase. Maybe in the middle of their purchase, they got a phone call, and then they got distracted, and then they just completely forgot about it. That is a perfect opportunity for you to create a segmented, a customized creative that reminds them to go back and purchase. And then once they've purchased, always make sure you say thank you. You appreciate their business, and it's helping you grow. So coming back with an ad that says thank you and recommending additional products, or even products that they might not know about that you offer, allows you to gain that trust and those repeat business and that repeat purchase. Of course, in order to do all of this, we have to make sure that your site is mobile optimized. Statistics show that 53% of shoppers abandon a site if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. So I want to take a moment to just make sure that you are checking your site speed. You want to go back and just do a Google test to make sure that the site is loading in an efficient time frame. And if it's not, maybe take a moment to improve that load time by making several optimizations to your site. Next up is Facebook attribution, Facebook and Instagram attribution. Facebook tracks every user's activity. You've inputted that information into the Facebook platform, whether it's your email address, your phone number, your first name, your last name, even the city that you live in. If you have the ability to pull that data from your shopping list or those users that have purchased from you in the past, you can actually upload that information into Facebook, and it'll give you an attribution or even give you a return on ad spend for users that have been engaged in Facebook or Instagram, and then give you an attributable purchase for that user. So if you've driven, I'm going to throw a random number out, $1 million in sales, and 60% of those users were touched through Facebook, you'll know that 60% of those ads come directly from, those users come directly from Facebook.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Megan, definitely this is a great way to just see how your ad dollars are working. We've done this with some of our clients, especially auto, and it's a great way. They can send us their list, we can match it back, and then really look at, how much money they gain from their campaign. And not only does it show you revenue, it also shows you where you can make adjustments. You may be able to see holes in your campaign just based on, lack of interaction, or maybe you tried a different strategy and you saw sales decline. There can be a correlation there, and there's a lot of information you can glean from that, and just a lot of optimizations that you can make just based on taking a look at what happened.
Absolutely. Next up, you want to make sure that you're measuring metrics that matter. Across all platforms, you have the ability to place conversion pixels. You can design and track and even optimize campaigns to these metrics. Some examples are some that we've listed here with product detail page visits, offer downloads, page likes, even, of course, the e-commerce transaction. So right at this point, we've kind of discussed some areas of opportunities, structural suggestions. Let's take a moment and look at things that have limited campaign success. First up is using only one ad type. Too many times I've gone into a Facebook account and I've seen that they're only looking, or they're only utilizing single image ads. They're not taking full advantage of everything that they have to offer. They're not showing videos, they're not utilizing the full screen experience with an instant experience or even an Instagram stories ad, and they're isolating themselves to only having one message for that user. The next area of the ways to limit campaign success are really not taking full advantage of Facebook's campaign objectives. They have a variety of objectives that you're allowed to optimize towards, such as reach, event response, store visits even, and then catalog sales. Changing up those objectives allow you to really focus on where that user is located and what that user is looking to do. At the end of the day, you want to tell a story. And speaking to your customer through customized ads and customized optimizations will really allow you to achieve those goals.
Megan, I think when you and I were working on this, one great thing that you mentioned was that sometimes people are just focused on the wrong one. They always focus, let's say, on conversions when really they should be looking at a different objective. They should be focused on that brand awareness piece. It's really important to customize your campaigns and not just keep them uniform because that's what you've always done. You really dive into the data, figure out what's working, and figure out how to make adjustments.
Absolutely. And to add to that, one thing that you want to keep in mind is your actual site's traffic. If you're only receiving 10 purchases a month, Facebook usually allows you to hit that learning phase within the first 50 of those purchases. So if you're only receiving 10 purchases a month, it's going to take you 5 months to get out of those learning phases. On the other hand, if you have 50 cart additions every single month, or every single week, that might be a better objective. You might want to set it to a cart addition or potentially just a page visit, because that is really where you're seeing a lot of activity. Grow those users, grow that section, and then move on to the next one. Once you've hit 50, move down a step on the funnel.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. That's a great perspective. Real stories, and this is always the interesting part. So we told you all the details, we've told you what we've seen and kind of the overview of the product, but that's great. But how do they actually work how do we make this work on a social platform, and what have we seen? Megan, I'll let you talk about this client success and just kind of, if you can explain to us how you worked through the entire process, because I know it didn't start out going smoothly. There were a lot of trial and error, but just let us know what you saw for the client.
Absolutely. So when we first took over the social account, we were told how to run the account, how to set it up, and exactly what they wanted. They mentioned to us that they only wanted to run on Facebook and they only wanted to run catalog ads. That was it. We set up the campaign, we ran further. We did urge them, you may want to think about maybe working your way up the funnel, influence and attract, get new users into the funnel so that we can continue to fuel those bottom funnel efforts. Unfortunately, after several months, we did see that those bottom funnel users were becoming oversaturated. And we noticed week over week, performance was slowly starting to dip. We made the decision to then re-engage the customer or the client of thinking about, let's build that funnel back up. Let's get those users into the funnel and really make sure that we're growing overall business and not just capitalizing on those bottom funnel efforts. Once we did that, we introduced some middle funnel, and then we also introduced some top funnel ads. So driving new users to the site. After a couple of months, we saw that performance significantly improved. We saw that the funnel was being refilled, our frequencies were being brought back down, and we also saw that we were driving more users to the site. At the end of the day, what was great about it was that after several months of working through this, we not only saw their conversion rates increase, but we actually saw their overall site revenue increase. So we not only helped their Facebook, but we also drove more revenue to the site.
And Megan, I think this really goes well with the previous slide where we kind of broke out, what the focuses are and how people are utilizing that. Can you speak to a little bit as far as were they focused on the right, doesn't sound like they were focused on the right goal from the beginning, and how you were able to kind of convince them that maybe we need to shift gears?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did educate them on just multiple campaign objectives. So one of the biggest changes that we made to that account was adding in some campaign objectives of just driving people to the site. From there, we then had a secondary objective for those users to drive them to a product detail page view. We just continuously tested different types of campaign objectives, which then ultimately drove those increase in sales. Focusing on the bottom level really allowed us to capture those users, but focusing on middle and top level users really allowed us to grow the overall business by just continuously testing various types of products and objectives.
Did you find, as far as customizing messages along the way to get people down that funnel, was that an effective way to really draw people in and keep them?
Yeah, we actually customized some ads for users that were that had purchased previously but hadn't been to the site in a while, and that ended up bringing back users to drive further sales.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think one important thing that we want to point out is there's no straight way to do this. It's not a straight line. You're not going to do X, Y, and Z and you're going to get your results. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of things you need to consider. And to be effective on social marketing, you really need to just be able to try things, be open to giving it a little time. It may not happen right away, but as Megan said, if you're doing the right things and filling the top of that funnel, you will see the results. But it's going to be some trial and error along the way. The other thing, as we've talked throughout the webinar, is that things are changing. Just as soon as you figure out something that works, one of these platforms introduces something new, something shiny, just another way to engage your users. So you want to make sure that it's impossible, I would say, to keep up with everything and include it, but focus on what you're good at, focus on where you've seen the most success, and then add those in as you're able to layer them in and work them into your campaigns. Another example we had, which is more along the lines of branding versus the actual conversions, was not actually one we worked on ourselves, but I think it was a great way to show what you can do with just a little creativity. They had a little money to go behind it, but that's not necessarily the case for everyone. You can do this in a lot of different ways. So if you didn't know, Chipotle ran a campaign around the NBA Finals, and what they really focused on was that second screen viewing. We know that when people are watching a game, a sporting event, probably TV in general, if you're watching television, you're probably also checking your phone. We're all guilty, I would say, or the vast majority of kind of doing both. So they really wanted to take advantage of that. People that are watching the NBA game were likely scrolling, doing other things, probably on a social network, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it may be, and they wanted to take advantage of that audience. So what they decided to do is they were going to tweet a unique code through their account every time the word free was said on air. Now, they did not work with the NBA on this. They did not work with any of the announcers. This was just a completely, we'll see how it goes. Every time we hear free, they gave out a code. They did kind of max it out as far as how much they were going to give away, but that was their approach. So all of the code users received, if they texted that back up to a certain amount, they would receive a free Chipotle burrito, which is great. They'd get a little code that they could take into the store or use on the app, and they would get their burrito. The great thing that they also offered is if you didn't win, if you weren't like the first, I think it's 500 to get that burrito, then they still gave you an incentive to participate. So you would get free delivery on Chipotle's app, website, or through DoorDash for any orders over $10. So again, this is just a great way to engage your audience, and even if you didn't win the burrito, you still got something out of it. So there's still incentive for everyone to participate, and everyone felt like they won something. So they leveraged Twitter, like I said, in place of that NBA sponsorship, and they gave away $1 million worth of burritos. Everyone likes free food, so I feel like this is a great way to get in front of their audience, especially when you're watching a game, you're thinking about food, and you're hungry and things like that. It's also a way to get in front of your audience without some of these sponsorship fees. They didn't, again, pay for that NBA sponsorship, which we know ad time during an NBA finals is pretty expensive. So this is just another way for them to connect, be associated with the excitement, and just have a little bit different approach. This is something great you can do on Twitter. The hashtag is so powerful, especially something like this. And we've done a lot of research as far as what works for hashtags and how to utilize them. Again, there's no secret to the most successful hashtag, but creativity is the goal. If you've got something creative that goes kind of centers around your brand, but it's fun and exciting, people like to be a part of that, and they'll continue to tweet that, and then their friends will pick up on it as well, and it goes viral pretty quick. So to wrap up, we covered a lot of things. So we want to talk about, determining your strategy is based on your audience and your marketing goals. And Megan did a great job of talking about this. You really want to take a look at what you're trying to do, what your objective is, and work backwards. And then you can figure out how to get in front of that audience. You also want to be able to utilize the data you had. One thing Megan pointed out that she said she loved was the lookalike audience. You know who your most loyal customers are. Why not make a pool of people who look very similar to them and get in front of them as well, so they become your customers as well? Second, platforms should be used to complement, not compete. These platforms can definitely be used to help each other. You can drive people from, let's say, Twitter to other platforms that you have as far as your brand's concerned. They definitely should not be stacked against each other. You should find a way in your strategy to use them to help one another out and maybe drive people from one to the other. With social capabilities continuing to evolve, so should your strategy. And we really covered this as well. The platforms are changing so fast. I would say every week we find something new that's come out as far as what they're able to do. There were a few in the beginning I mentioned that just came out within the last few weeks. So you've got to be very nimble with your strategy and understand that just because it worked before doesn't mean it's going to continue to work, but you just want to build on it. You don't need to change it completely. And you need to use the tools that they have available to really make yourself successful. And lastly, and Megan, feel free to chime in on this as well, continually test, measure, and repeat. And she talked about that with her client story as far as how that worked. Would you have anything else to add to that part of it as far as your experience?
I would say that just always continuously test. Once you've hit one goal, continuously make adjustments to hit another goal.
Yes, and like we said, it's going to change. It's going to evolve. And the way people interact with your media, with your brand is also going to change and evolve. So you're going to definitely always be testing new messages. Dynamic targeting is great because it's a way to customize, but you definitely want to just keep an eye on things and figure out what works and what doesn't and go from there. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. We hope you got some valuable information from us today and are able to apply these to your own strategies. If you'd like to learn some more information about what Adtexy does or how we can help with social media, by all means, please reach out to us. There's some contact information on the right-hand side. We're happy to help. We'll also be sending out this recording via email within the next day or two, so look out for that. If there's If you'd like to watch it again or share with anyone, we would love for that opportunity. Thank you again, and we hope you have a great day.